All right, what's up? What's up? So I kind of have like two projects going on right now. I have this game I've been kind of playing around with, but then also there's the video generator series I'm kind of working on. So when I do a live stream, I'll probably be working on this little game, and then when I do an actual video, it'll be on the series. Probably stream for like an hour tonight, but we'll see how far we can go and add in some features and just do a little bit of testing in this. Let's see. So there's a lot of like technical things that need to be fixed in this game, but I'm trying to just test out some of the various things that we have. When I place a structure, it kind of lags. Kind of weird. All right, do guard towers actually fire? I don't think they do. So that's the first thing we can try to fix. Is right now it doesn't seem like guard towers actually fire at anybody. Can you make it so a guard tower will actually fire an arrow once per second at a zombie? Kind of like the archer does. Reuse whatever logic that exists on the archer that you find useful, or also adding this to the guard tower. It should have a range a little bit further than the archer though. What's up, Anthony? What's up, Innismouth Admiral? No, I don't have a game dev background. Kind of just playing around with using LLMs to build out a game. Legendary refresh pool on this one. All right, so I don't like how the archer tower and the barracks and the farm are just like not styled. So we might have to go and like fix that. But again, I do want to test out the guard tower. The skeleton going. Okay, so it seems like enemies tend to target the town hall. I want them to target the closest thing, whether that's a unit or a structure. I need the enemy skeletons to attack and target the closest thing. When they first spawn, they should try to walk towards the closest structure or unit that they find on the map, and then target that until that unit is killed. I do a plan mode for this one. I do want to kind of like understand how the AI is kind of working. All right, so current behavior. This is something I typically do. Like, you can definitely use AI to help you understand your code base. You don't have to look through the code. It'll explain to you what files do what, how your combat system's set up, how the pathfinding is set up. So let's see, add enemy target to game unit. Optional include watchtower. Currently only town hall, barracks, and archery range are targetable. Guard towers are not targeted. To add them, extend target building types. Maybe this was the issue. I was testing the game and they didn't attack the guard tower. I think what you need to do is make the code more easily extendable. So when I add in a new structure type, the AI already knows how to control the enemies to attack the certain structures. I shouldn't have to go through a list every single time I add a new unit or a structure to let the AI know how to like handle these things. In fact, I think just adding maybe like some type of label or a flag to entities so that the enemy can automatically look stuff up by type or tag or flag would be useful. Redesign my system so it's faster and easier to add in new game types. Okay, so reading through the plan, I realized that, okay, maybe there's not an issue with the pathfinding. It was just that there wasn't a target type in that. I'll probably just re-prompt it to do a little bit of refactoring there. What's up, MXO? Howdy. Have you tried Spacetime DB? I haven't tried that. What's up? Greetings from Ireland. Anthony, thanks for using 1.5 Composer. Interesting to see performance. My cursor is stuck on codecs. You still be going all in on Composer 1.5? Thoughts so far? Yeah, I mean, it's still pretty good to use. I have a feeling that all these models will basically converge to the same quality. And so, like, maybe one will have like a little bit of an edge up over others for certain tasks. But I really think that with how much money is being flooded into these AI models and these companies, that they're all basically going to converge to the same quality. But I don't know. Are your assets built with cursor also? No, I found a free asset kit. All these are just online for free. Creative Commons 0. And I put it in the README. Ninja Adventure Asset Pack on itch. You can go Google that. But yeah, I think when building out a game, like just find a pre-existing asset pack and then build out your game using it, just so that you feel like you're actually building something of substance. When you just have a bunch of like boxes that are just colored in, like it just doesn't feel like you're doing something useful. But when you actually start adding in sprites, it just makes the game come alive and it kind of like helps you be more interested and keep on working on it, you know? That's another bug. The workers shouldn't like stack on top of the enemies. They should be close enough. But anyway, let's just read through this real quick. Data-driven enemy targeting system. Type definition flags. Add a single flag to entity definition. Systems derive behavior from the flag. No hardcoded lists. Replace, get, place buildings for units. I think instead of using a filter, I actually need to do like a lookup by type. I think it'd be more efficient if that instead of doing like a filter on an array, we should actually have some type of method to fetch all entities by a particular type. So I can call one method such as like fetch humans or something, pick a better name for it, that represents either human entity things or enemy entity things. So I can call that, and that should also use a spatial grid with a radius, so I can find the things that are close to me that also match that, so that's not having to loop over like a ton of things. But yeah, sometimes I'll iterate on a plan like 3-4 times. You know, I'll read through it, I'll see like a little piece of code examples, and I'm like, nah, this isn't it. Like doing a filter on stuff, definitely inefficient. And I've kind of, on the Survive the Night zombie game I worked on, like there's a ton of code that AI was writing where it just basically got an array of like 1,000 things and it did a filter over it, which isn't bad, but when you're doing like a game tick and you want the loop to run as fast as possible, it really eats into your time because now it takes like 2-3 milliseconds to do these lookups when you call them like all over your code base. So I do want to make sure that it's using the spatial grid. Enemy targetable true. Type defs, no hierarchy list. Spatial grid optimization queries, single method, get hostile objects near. Call row radius returns targetable entities within radius using spatial grids, no full array loops. Add a max HP to the guard tower, currently has none, so it can't be damaged. Cool. Yeah, I think this is, it's decent enough. Sometimes I'll just like, I skim over the plans. I don't do like a thorough review. At work, I probably would do a more of a thorough review, but on side projects, like it's fine. I'd rather just kick it off. And then if I really want to read through the code, I can just see the changes that way. And that gives me a good understanding of like what exactly has changed. Because sometimes just reading through this like terminology, it's just not as useful compared to actually reading through the code and understanding how it changed your TypeScript and how it changed your systems in the game to kind of achieve what you're looking for. But the main thing here, I mean, this also needs to be refactored. Enemy targetable true. So it's a flag that lives on the types so that the AI knows what it can target and what it can't. Same thing with unit types, enemy targetable. I'm guessing there's going to be some type of, when I register entities, if enemy targetable is true, it'll probably push it in a caching system. At least I'd hope so. Let's see, building grid, spatial grid for buildings when the spatial index is enabled. Rebuild building grid. Get placed buildings. What else calls this? Load mapping, load map data, restore map state. I mean, there should be no buildings when the map starts, so I think this is also a red flag to me. Why are we rebuilding the building grid when there should be no buildings when the map is loading? But unit manager. Hostile objective registry. Okay, so I think this is what's registering these things. Unit manager, get hostile objects near, get units in range. So this is doing the spatial grid lookup to get the units near something, also the buildings near something. I don't like how there's a difference between units and buildings. I think they should all just be entities. That's something I'd probably reprompt a new plan to fix, but probably fine to just keep going with it now. Now let's look at the combat system. How does it actually use those? Loops through the enemies. Goblin last damage. Hit buildings in range. Let's just test it out. I probably need to reprompt this a couple times. But let's try to get the guard tower going again. The FPS is very inconsistent. I'll probably have to like figure out how to tune that a little bit. Oh, looks like they're totally broken now. Did they even attack the guard tower though? Okay, so they are targeting the guard tower, which is okay. So what I'll do is I think there's some stuff that kind of got missed in this plan. This is a good start, but I notice if a skeleton spawns too far away from any of these units or buildings, it never actually tries to path find. So I think we need a state where if there's nothing close enough to actually like target and attack, it should just default walk towards the town hall. I also don't like how I have to keep on like building stuff just to test out building. So I'm gonna go over here to new agent. Can you add a flag I can turn to true in the configuration for dev mode, which allows me to build anything in the build menu and kind of bypass the dependency graph so I can quickly build stuff and test out functionality. It's kind of a pain. I want to increase my feedback loop. So I'm going to go ahead and just add these things real quick. So I'm assuming they're good. Dev mode. Let me go and find that. Computer's lagging a little bit. I wonder if I can just throttle this a little bit. I don't know if it's my game using all my CPU. How do I throttle? I totally forget. Is it up here? I'll do 4 times. There we go. Yeah, there's definitely something that's like locking up the game. I have to debug that. Let's spawn a skeleton way over here. Oh, we're getting down to 2 FPS. Now they're not even targeting the buildings. Okay, so I think we're hitting like limitations of a composer. I think it just cannot figure out what I'm asking. So what I'm going to do is I might have to switch it to a more powerful model, such as we'll do 5.3. And I think also like we got to make sure that the requirements are very clear. Let me go back to this one, enemy skeleton targeting behavior. Let's go back to GPT 5.3. So now it seems like the skeletons just run straight to the town hall and they never try to switch their targets to maybe attack anything that's closer. The logic should be when they spawn, try to walk towards the town hall, but as they're walking, if they find a targetable thing along the way that's within their attack range or target range, they should switch their target to actually try to walk towards that and attack it. And this could have been like bad prompting from the get-go. It could have been context is growing too large, and so I probably should have cleared out the context. Or it could just be, you know, limitations of Composer 1.5. So I'm just going to go ahead and kick this one off. I'm guessing it'll probably be able to fix it. Definitely need to debug why it's kind of lagging at some points. I see a lot of people using Agent Swarm or various agents per workspace. I can't even use 2. Yeah, I haven't tried like the whole Agent Swarm stuff that Claude Code released. Basically what I got from Theo's last video. What I haven't watched his last video. What did he mention in that video? Vibe coding is getting expensive. Day 2 used 80%. The heck? Day 2 of what? I mean, if you're using a Claude Code subscription, I mean, that's a pretty good... I had the $100 a month Claude Code subscription, and you can prompt for a while, and then we hit your limits, like, I don't know, just walk away and come back. How's work been with AI? They just give you $200 cursor ultra seat or what? No, we use Bedrock at work. So AWS has a Bedrock service where you can actually have Claude Code Opus 4.6 running in that. You're going to be paying a lot more, but I mean, it's your company paying for it. Have you tried using Codex 5.3? Yeah, I kicked it off a couple times. I'm on the $20 a month Cursor plan, but they also, Cursor actually gave me a bunch of like free credits to use. So sometimes I use those, sometimes I use Claude Code. Just to kind of play around with the different models and stuff. Okay, so let's see what it kind of did here. Keep moving towards committed targets, only opportunistic review following the town hall. Free path interval unit building. I think this is how often it like tries to reevaluate its target. What is this doing? DYDX, height, W. Oh, I know what this is doing. Some buildings can be like 2 by 2, and I think it's trying to make sure that you're like within range of any of those cells of the building. Cool. 5.3 codex came in clutch. Oh, what's up, Trueheads? How's it going? Have you tried Olama with local GPU power? Maybe good enough if you get the skills also. Yeah, I don't think the graphics card on a MacBook is like powerful enough. I think if I had like a 490 or something, maybe I would try this stuff out. I just honestly don't think that unless you have like a top of the line graphics card, it's just not going to work. No Olama in Cody's list, I see. Maybe he knows something. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't have enough time to try all these models. Like they all seem like they're just good enough. Just pick one. My main two are like Opus 4.6 and GPT 5.3. And Cody mostly uses the publicly available agent tools and doesn't do anything specialized. Yeah, I don't do all the fancy stuff, honestly. I probably could. At some point I feel like we're trying to like min-max our productivity, and you're not going to get compensated for becoming like a 20 times engineer. Like you're not going to get paid more for like shipping tons of stuff. And so I'm just finding the things that make me more efficient than I used to be. But is there some more like juice I could squeeze out of the orange to become super efficient? Probably, but I just don't. At this point, I just don't care to become that super efficient. I like my workflows. They seem like they work. And I feel like I'm actually engaged in the project versus like if I had like 6 Claude Code instances or sub agents implementing all this stuff, you just don't feel like you're even engaged in the project anymore. So I'm noticing that the workers and the skeletons will stack on top of each other and start attacking each other. Can you double check that the worker has like a certain attack range, so it's not like it'll stop walking when the skeleton is close enough, and vice versa, the skeleton should probably stop walking when it's close enough to the worker. I have a hunch it's the worker's logic that's wrong. Switch it to 5.3 codecs. Let's see if that will fix that bug. Here's another bug. Yeah, I think we're hitting enough bugs where Composer 1.5 just can't keep up with the project, so we gotta switch it to something more powerful. I'm noticing that the skeleton got stuck in the top left corner, and it can't seem like it can hit the town hall. Can you make sure that it can either hit the town hall or it'll just move to an adjacent tile directly next to the town hall so I can actually hit it? And I'm actually not going to give it an ambiguous instruction. Can you make sure that I can hit? I'm going to say, make sure that it doesn't try to get into this position with diagonals. Try to get it to be actually adjacent to the building, up, bottom, left, right. Whatever, I'll just throw that one in. Codex always gets the job done. It sure does. I think the actual efficiency gains right now are learning good architecture and system design. Yeah, I feel like at this point, people need to get better at multitasking. I think before we were so used to just like focusing on one feature and then we work with our heads down for like a couple days until we finish it. But now it's reached a point where it's like we need to multitask and work on bugs and features at the same time and even try to work on different projects at the same time. So depending on where you work, you may have various different internal tools. And I think leveraging these tools, like you could have 3 or 4 projects running at the same time. You can kick off prompts on all of them. Because there is still a bottleneck, right? You still have to verify this stuff after you let the prompt run to see if it works. I mean, maybe there's people out there that have like a super efficient testing systems. But I don't know, like from the things I've seen it do, like you just have to manually verify stuff. So there's always going to be a bottleneck. I think the bar has been risen, but still, like, I don't know. You guys let me know if there's like people just kicking off tons of sub agents, building out crazy applications, and never actually looking at or testing any of the code manually. I think that was good, maybe. Who knows? All right, let me commit what we have. Making a lot of changes. Let's see how it does in some refactoring. Let's just kick off a couple of refactoring prompts. And try to also figure out like where's it like slowing down? I wouldn't think adding a couple skeletons should cause it to drop a lot of FPS, but no, it could also be the lighting, the fog of war stuff. No, I don't know if turning that off will actually fix it. Nah, it still seems like it's kind of laggy. Analyze my current code base and try to find the top 3 areas where you think I should refactor the code to make it easier to extend, to add in new building types or enemy types, or player units. And try to find duplicate code that you can refactor out into abstract reusable functions that we can use. I'll do one of those prompts, see how that does. I don't really notice any noticeable team velocity at work since agents dropped, honestly. When you say agents, do you mean like, what do you mean by agents? Like Claude Code? How did AI impact your full-time job when it comes to workflows? I mean, I don't write code by hand anymore. That's the first impact. So I'll take a user story, make sure I really understand the business logic, and I'll throw that into Claude Code in a plan mode. I'll let it kind of churn it out. And then also I'm able to work on, it's been easier to like jump between projects because now I don't have to have like a complete understanding of how it all works to be able to be like to contribute to it. So if we're trying to like work on some various projects, it's very easy for me to just open that project up, prompt Claude Code. Maybe I have like a 60% understanding of the project, but I can still like I can contribute to it now without before like you have to really understand like the code base in my opinion. I still haven't tried the Ralph loop. I really need to try it out. But yeah, overall the impact is like I just feel more efficient. And I'll just leave it at that. I mean, like, I don't feel like I'm a 10 times developer, but I am moving faster than I used to when I manually coded. Have you personally seen any developers being replaced by AI yet? Not necessarily replaced, but I do think there's a lot of, how do I say this? There's certain projects that companies are bidding on, right? And so when you're doing like bidding for government work, like federal or state contracts, you're competing with a bunch of other companies in the United States, right? And so if you can move very fast, you can make a lower bid in terms of pricing, and you can make a lower timeline, which means that someone who's able to give an accurate, faster timing, lower cost bid is probably going to win that project and do the work. Versus if you're not doing that, you're going to not win that project, which means you can't pay developers to work on the projects, right? So I do think, I mean, that's something I'm definitely seeing, where if you're not leveraging AI to help build these tools and to give faster estimates and to give lower costs, like, you probably won't win the work. But other than that, I mean, I haven't seen people like fired because of AI where I work. In fact, we're trying to get everyone to like learn more about AI and become better at using Claude Code, and we're sharing tips and tricks about how it all kind of works. Hey, thanks, developer in. Hard-coded units ID, building IDs, checks are spread across gameplay systems and UI flows, so each new type requires edits in multiple places. Okay. I will say on this project, I feel like I vibe coded it more than my Survive the Night game. I feel like I had a really good understanding of that code base. This one, not so much. I'm literally just vibe coding stuff, and then I'm using these agents to refactor the code to make it better. So, but I spent a lot more time on that Survive the Night game. Like, I would really read through the code and understand it. So that's kind of, I think that's biting me in the butt now. I kind of just blindly just refactoring code. Also, the AI, like, the plan sounds good. You're like, oh yeah, that sounds good. Move the combat behavior. Yeah, sure. You run it, and then like, is the code actually better? Duplicate code to extract first. Distance math. It's repeated in multiple places. I don't even have a Claude MD file in this project, or an Agents MD, so I think that's something I should probably create. It's reached the point where the code's large enough where without having those, I think it's starting to degrade. I'm going to run this after it does the refactoring because I want it to have a better understanding where these utility functions actually live. I honestly think that software velocity has improved 10% and software quality has decreased 10%. I mean, potentially. I think it also matters like where you're working too. Like if you're working at a startup and you're like a one-man team or a two-man team, you can move so fast with AI because there's a lot less process and red tape involved with getting an idea out there. So like your product owner, your CEO says, hey, I need this, and you can crank that out and get it shipped to prod very fast. But on a larger project, where every single feature you ship, it has an impact to real users, and you can confuse users and you can cause them to be overwhelmed if you just keep on shipping features. Like where I work, we work with a user experience person. We have a designer. They really try to understand and talk to the users so that we're not just shipping random features. And the more process you have on a project where you're actually trying to like increase the quality of your software and the user experience, the efficiency gains with AI can only take you so far. And so that's why I say like using the the context switching, the multitasking can be very beneficial because, you know, like you just don't want to keep on shipping random features. You want to make sure that what you're adding to the project actually gives value to your users. And that's kind of also a bottleneck. So working on various projects at the same time can help make you more efficient. Ralph Loop is meh. Ralph Loop is meh. It's better to prompt it yourself. Yeah, I do think Ralph Loop and some of these things are just like, let's throw money at the problem. And I think just having like slowing down, providing really well thought out context and a good plan, running it, and just sitting there and watching the output, because sometimes I'll even like watch the output stream in and I'll see it do something. I'm like, ooh, no, I don't want you to do that. And then you stop it and you reprompt it. And like just having another set of eyes, I found to be very useful. I don't know. I know there's someone out there right now probably like running 100 sub agents, building out a giant system of like 1,000,000 lines of code. But I think that's just not going to be for me, honestly. I think for the normal developer working on a project, I think the workflows that I'm doing right now are probably what other people are doing. And it's also what I've seen people at work doing. Like, I think it's slow though. This is again, oh wait, am I using Composer for this? I didn't mean to use Composer for this. Something's wrong with Cursor though. I'll have a model set, and then after the plan, that model like changes to something else. I've seen it switch back to auto. I've seen it switch from GPT 5.3 to Composer. It's like, I don't know what Cursor's doing, but again, I think they're vibe coding too many features because it's kind of broken half the time. I don't know if they're even using their own stuff, because this is a huge issue for me. If I make the plan with 5.3 and then I build it, like this should have been stuck at 5.3. I don't remember ever coming back here and changing the Composer. But I guess I could rewind the stream and like see what I did wrong. Something is definitely eating up my CPU. Cursor killing my computer right now. Cursor, please fix your UX bugs. Yeah, I don't know. I've given feedback for like this keep stuff that shows up all in your code base. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, where like your agents will do changes to your code and then like you have like green and red diffs all over the place that say keep or reject. And then even if I commit the code, it's still in Cursor. And this is like, I complained to people on Cursor like a month or two ago about this, and it's still not fixed. So I don't know. I'm kind of concerned how a company with this much money is not able to fix the UI stuff. So again, is this another sign that like maybe we are in like a bubble, a hype bubble with AI? Because why can't they fix simple bugs? Let me run an init over here. Bro, for real, the keep stuff is... I was so close to just like abandoning Cursor because of this keep stuff. It just gets in your way, especially if you're trying to like review code. Like I have a git diff. There's no reason for me to like keep and reject. And if I don't like the code changes, I just reprompt it to change the code. I'm not going to go and reject like a single line. I want the AI to understand that, hey, like what you added was wrong. So you can have the existing context to go back and fix it. See ya, Yanni. Thanks for joining. I forget folks work in the industry. I was going to try get a coding job or similar, but I've bailed. I must remember you folks are pros. Do I use skills? Honestly, not as much as I should, honestly. Heard some mention that the use mermaid diagram to reduce tokens. Glad you're back to making content. Need a something different after watching Theo and Prime. Well, I'm glad you like my content, you know. They got a different type of content. Sometimes I watch them. A lot of times I don't, but I think they're good creators. They're just not creating content that I'm interested in, honestly. Sometimes I'll watch a Theo video to get an update on a new model, and I find that very useful. But also his videos are getting really long. Like his videos used to be short and concise, and now his videos are like 45 minutes long, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't have time. I don't have time to watch that. I'll just use a Gemini quick review, ask it a few questions, and then I'll move on. He used to make videos that are shorter. Iterating on plans is like the best way to get a lot of value in your time. Yeah. Can you check my last message? Thanks. This one? This may sound stupid, but when I use AI, it feels like I am betraying the time that I had to learn stuff. Now it just happens, and it feels like cheating, but also not using it seems stupid too. Yeah, I mean, I feel that way too. Or I did feel that way. I think as long as you still understand what's going on, and I think as you gain more experience and you become a more seasoned software engineer, you can quickly review code, you can skim through it, and you get a high-level understanding of what's changing. Like sometimes just understanding these plans, if you actually understand like what it's talking about in code, is enough to stay engaged with the project. And if you're the one like prompting it to do specific system design or architecture design of your code, sometimes a lower level implementation detail is not important. Like knowing how to loop over a collection, that's not important. Knowing how to call like a filter object on an array, that's not important. Knowing how to do type annotations on functions and classes, that's not important, right? That's lower level implementation detail. And I would leverage AI to kind of do it for you. It's important though, how one class is depending on this class and that class is depending on this class. And now you can't test it properly because you have this huge chain of dependencies. And so you want to add in some type of like dependency inversion or dependency injection so you can quickly test your business logic. That's stuff that's actually important. And that's like a higher level architecture thing that you want to prompt the AI to do for you. And then once you have it all set up, like I don't care how you implement it. I just know like make the arrows point the right way, you know? All right, so we did a big refactoring. Let's see if this whole game is broken now. Why did it spawn with a footman though? It definitely broke something. Now my workers have the wrong... That's funny. Let me go back here. This refactoring seems to have changed my workers to display a different sprite. Now my workers look like footmen. Can you debug and figure out what you changed there? And again, watching me vibe code on a game, probably not beneficial to how like I would actually do this at work. At work, like I review the code because at the end of the day, when you ship a bug and you break prod or you drop a whole table, saying I used AI is not an excuse, right? You're going to get fired. And so, I don't know. On a side project though, which again, most of my stuff I do on my channel is just side projects, low risk, no users, who cares? I do a lot more vibe coding. Okay, I definitely got to fix this. I'm curious. Okay, let's just do a recording. I want to see when it's like it locks up. Okay, right there, it locked up some. I want to just debug. Looks like right here in this period, there's a huge spike over here as well. Let's zoom in a little bit. Wow, look at this. It went from almost a full second. So something is eating up my update loop Path to town hall adjacent. What's calling that? Worker AI. Oh, when they're trying to walk back to the town hall. Closest reachable. Okay, so again, as an engineer, like it's your goal to know how to look at a flame chart so that you know what context to provide the AI. So I could actually take this whole thing as a screenshot. Then I'm going to paste this in. I noticed that the game sometimes locks up, and I looked at the flame graph, and it looks like when the workers are trying to maybe navigate back to the town hall to drop off the resources, double check the functions that are called to make sure that they're efficient. Often the workers are within like 5 or 6 tiles of the town hall, and this should not take much time to run, but verify it's using the correct A-star pathfinding algorithm, and it should find a path from its current location to the town hall. Debug that and try to figure out why it's locking up my game and taking so long. Okay, so you could even probably give it, you know, some context over here. Like if I were to click on update, anything here that I could use here? Probably not. Bottom up. I'll at least give it this, the worker AI file. Take that one off. I like Prime's 10-minute videos. He gets to the point quick. How much do you pay monthly for your AI subscription? I do the $100 a month Claude Code. I do the $20 subscription for ChatGPT, which also gives me Codex, and also $20 a month for Cursor. I will say that Cursor gave me a bunch of free credits, and so a lot of the times I don't really go over the limit that much because I mean I'm using like, let's see what my limit is. I've only used $1.37 of on-demand usage. I think it's because I'm using a lot of Composer 1.5, and so like every month there's like a new model that's free, and I get a bunch of free usage on it. So I don't really use too much Cursor credits. At one point I was really cranking through the credits, and I think I got up to like $400 or $500 worth of Cursor usage, building out my Survive the Night game. But again, I was granted a lot of like free credits to kind of play around with Cursor, so. Yeah, overall, honestly, if you don't want to have to like deal with all this other stuff, Claude Code subscription, $100 a month is well more than enough to become more efficient at using agentic coding. There's only one time I used a $200 a month subscription for Claude Code, and that's when I was building out Automaker because we were shipping tons of features over Christmas. So I got the highest subscription because I was hitting limits, and then I was testing Automaker to basically build out applications all night long, which was burning through all my credits too. But yeah, I think the right now the best bang for your buck would be the Claude Code $100 a month subscription, the max plan 5x, I believe. The other stuff you don't necessarily need. Advice for when dealing with imposter syndrome? I don't know. To me, imposter syndrome, like I'd ask you, how long have you been in the industry? Because when I go look up the definition of imposter syndrome, the examples they give are like people who are already doctors working in the industry for a long time, but they still feel like they don't belong there. So if you're like not really in the industry, you're not a professional software engineer, I think you don't necessarily have imposter syndrome. You're just trying to learn the crafts of the trade. And so as you learn more, you will get more confident and you'll be able to kind of explain topics and stuff. So I guess that's the first question I ask is like, how long have you been in the industry for? What good about Cursor Sub opposed to open code and Cursor free? I don't know. I just haven't really used open code that much. I just If I want a terminal, I use Cloud Code CLI. Is Sonnet 4.6 good? I haven't tried it yet. I haven't used anti-gravity. Anyone else having issues with YouTube? What type of issues are you having? Greetings from Ireland. Welcome. File burden. Codex has a 2x rate limit until early April. Yeah, Codex is also a very good CLI. I'm sure they give you a lot more bang for your buck. So, I mean, you can even look into cursors, not cursor, Codex. I think Codex is a really good model too. How do you use cursor, Claude Code, and Codex? What are their purposes? Claude Code I use for the actual like serious stuff where I need a really good plan and I need the implementation to be like super accurate. Cursor I use typically Composer for a faster prototype or iteration where I don't care if the code's not perfect. I just want to see results faster to show up on my screen. And I want to iterate fast. I want to prototype and play around. And for the most part, if you're just building a web application, like building out UIs or just adding drop downs or tables and stuff, Cursor's Composer works really fast and it's really good. Codex, I use Codex when I need to debug a problem that Claude Code can't figure out. So sometimes Opus 4.6 can't figure it out. I throw it in the 5.3 GPT. It does figure it out and it fixes the bug. So those are my, when I reach for certain models. What's good about the Cursor sub? Right now, there's a couple of cool things I like about Cursor, right? The first thing is the Composer model. You can't get this without Cursor, right? I do like the Composer 1.5 model. I think it's pretty cool. Runs pretty fast. Second thing, the debug mode. I've actually used this quite a lot where it'll throw console logs and instrumentation all through your code base, and then it tells you to go and like click through your UI. You come back and you tell it to continue, and then it generates a bunch of hypotheses like what could be going wrong with what you're trying to debug. And then it'll verify those hypotheses and basically fix the bug. I've used this a ton building out this game. I've used it a decent amount of times like on side projects. And it's for those like harder to figure out bugs where like, yeah, you could go through your code base and you can manually throw in console logs, or you can manually load up your flame graph, or you can just kick it into debug mode and it kind of does it for you. Yeah, those are like the main things I use. Again, you don't need this stuff. You just need like one subscription to either Codex or Claude Code if you just want to code with a terminal. But I'm also so like used to VS Code that I just need this. Like I can't not use VS Code's interface at this point. What was I doing over here? Let's see, agent. Let's see what it fixed. I think I told it to fix an issue with performance. You are right to focus on path to town hall adjacent. I was doing significantly more work than needed, or it was doing more work than needed. It is using A* correctly, but in an inefficient way for this call path. So again, what we're seeing right now is like vibe code. There's literally like small, subtle performance issues all in this code base. There's subtle little code that's been duplicated all throughout this code base. And that's why I definitely recommend like reviewing the code and understanding how the code works. And if you haven't reached that level, like maybe skills can help you, maybe Claude Code skills can help you, and you can just automatically throw in and like make this clean and reusable. But I've seen this on so many different projects that I've worked on using Claude Code, using Codex, using Cursor, is that like at some point, the code just becomes kind of bad. And unless you're there to kind of like babysit it, it just gets worse and worse. And I've even done this today at a project at work. I told it to make refactoring, and we have a very clear structure how the code's set up. Like we do layered architecture, we have like business entities. We don't want business logic living other places. I kicked off a prompt with Claude Code, and it started taking code from my business entities and copying and pasting it into my interactors. And so you have to catch it, and you have to be like, no, don't do that. Like I need you to keep to our design patterns. And even though you have like a Claude MD file that describes it, sometimes it doesn't actually follow it. Sometimes it doesn't invoke the skills you have set up. So you can't trust it, right? Build one walkable cache once, merge all depot edges tiles into the decoupled candidate list, compose closest reachable ones. It placed buildings. That's another refactoring I need to do. I don't like how there's separate buildings from things. Candidates. Let's see if this fixes it. Nice. Really killing my CPU. Find closest reachable tile. This is another thing that's really kind of eating up the game. Find closest reachable tile. Build walkable. Find path. It's interesting now that my FPS is all over the place. This will be something I probably have to just figure out off stream. Like honestly, I'll just like look at the flame chart and then I'll probably go and look at this find closest walkable. Find closest. Find closest. Oh, I need to actually search for like reachable? Yeah. Like the game's reached a point where like I'm gonna actually have to go and like review this because who knows what this is doing. Returns the closest reachable tile from candidates by path length. Valid candidates. What is this doing? Now sometimes you gotta throw in a debugger and try to understand what's going on. Let me save that. It honestly looks like it's pushing like the adjacent cells. See if that kicks off when he goes back to town. Yeah. Valid candidates 12. Is blocked. Yeah, so I think it's just finding like the tiles around it. Although you'd expect it to be 8, not 12. And then it's trying to see if you can actually walk in that and it's like blocked off or not. Anyway, let me go back to the text. Yeah, my homepage won't load on YouTube. I like OpenCode's new Mac app that mirrors the style of the new Codex Mac app, but prefer the terminal in general. Ghostly's hotkeys make the terminal fun. Only subscription feed is working on my device. YouTube's broken, huh? What are your biggest takeaways / learnings when working with agents? Oh wow, my whole chat was lagged up. YouTube is having some issues, huh? Yeah, I don't know what my biggest learnings are. Like, really leverage multitasking, really leverage context files. I think the biggest takeaway is before you manually go try to do it yourself, I bet you money an agent can do it faster than you. So leverage the agent to give you that CLI command that you're trying to write. Leverage the agent to refactor that file that you're trying to refactor. And it's going to do it much faster than you. And if you think it's slow, find a model that'll run faster and still be pretty accurate. And then also just multitasking, like just understand that if you're sitting there watching Claude Code churn for 20 minutes, trying to implement its plan, that's a whole 20 minutes you can make kicking off more plans, working on other projects, doing more, or even trying to fully understand the business requirements of the initial plan that you just kicked off to make sure you truly understand it. You can debug it when that 20-minute Claude Code instance is done. You mentioned that you don't write code directly anymore. How common is that? I was a front-end developer for about 10 years, but haven't worked as a dev in a couple of years. Yeah, I mean, I'm not making this up. I'm not lying when I say I don't write code. Like, I literally prompt the agents to do the code refactoring. Sometimes I will go into the code and I maybe tweak something. Like, maybe I'll throw in a debugger statement, or I will tweak in like some CSS stuff that's broken. Then will go in and like maybe add in like an absolute positioning or something. But even that, like, I will probably first debug it with my browser. I'll play around with the CSS here. And then when I find the fix, I literally copy and paste and say, hey, I go to my agent panel. Hey, I found this fix. Can you please apply it to my whatever route, this component on that page? And I just let the agent do it. Because I don't know about you guys, when you're manually coding, sometimes you just start getting lost in the sauce and like you're staring at all these characters and tokens and it's just overwhelming. And you find yourself spending like 30 seconds to a minute trying to find something that you find these agents can do in 5 seconds. And so I've just gone all in on it. I just let agents do it. Maybe that's a lazy approach. I think it's the efficient approach, honestly. YouTube has gone. Yeah, I would say, like, if you haven't tried it, get a subscription to something and just try prompting project to get a feel for yourself how capable these models are. Cursor's AI is nice, but man, they break the UI a lot and I frequently hit general bugs. VS Code is much more stable for me. Yeah, and also Cursor's like really burning through the CPU on my computer right now. Like, it's just destroying my computer. But I still find it, although I do complain about Cursor, I still find it useful enough to keep on using it. And I don't know, that's just because I'm so familiar with how it kind of works. But when you see me switch off a Cursor, that's when you know that like I've hit my breaking point, or there's something better out there. And there could be something better out there, maybe like Windsurf, or maybe that Google CLI that they made, or sorry, the Google IDE. I forget what it's called. There's too much stuff. I can't keep up with all the stuff. That's another thing I kind of started to do. I'm just like detaching from all of the hype. Like, I just can't keep up with all the models, all the CLI tools, all the new IDEs. They all end up doing the same thing. Some of them are a little bit better than the others. I'd rather just wait for someone else to try it, or for someone to reach out and say, hey, you want to do a sponsor video? Yeah, then I'll try your tool then. Hey, what's up, Super Combo Gamer? YouTube is down, but I can go to people directly. Is your YouTube feed? It's crazy because I have 66 concurrent viewers on the stream right now, so somehow people are finding me. But it's funny that YouTube's down. We always edit CSS though. Do you find bugs on front end frequently? Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's like where I find a lot of the bugs the most. Is just like absolute positioning stuff, or it's like not properly aligning stuff, or stuff's getting hidden. There's like no scroll panels. For some reason, I don't think these models understand CSS that well, or Tailwind. Like, if you just need a page that has like a table and a drop down and a button, yeah, I can do fine. But when you start getting to like the more complicated stuff, it just doesn't seem like it does as well. But I mean, nothing a couple more prompts can't fix, right? Would not be surprised if LLMs start offering student plans soon. I think they do. I think I talked to someone who has like a student plan. Maybe it's a Cursor student plan. I don't know. My dad is a senior engineer with 30 years of experience and is resistant to using AI in prompting. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I think with 30 years of experience, like, he should no longer be a code monkey, right? He shouldn't just be typing code. he should be dealing at the high level abstractions and like planning the project from a higher level position. And so again, like I would think that he would be telling his coworkers or people who work as junior engineers or mid engineers to like do the work for him. But if he just prompted himself, I think he'd actually be able to implement a lot of stuff. It's very interesting how even some people with a ton of experience are still anti-AI, but then you also see people like Steve Yegi from Gastown who are like all in on AI. Like these people who come from Google and they know how to code and they've been doing it for a while and they're like all in on AI. So I don't know how there's such a discrepancy. Especially over this, November. I think November 18th was like the event horizon for AI when Opus came out, and I think people started waking up to how powerful these models were. Like once you start actually building out stuff with Opus, and you can see these people who have no experience basically building out giant projects with 100,000 lines of code, you kind of have to start realizing that these agents are very powerful. Yeah, I actually got the $100 Claude subscription a month ago and have been going nuts tinkering and building things in a way I haven't done in years. I was so burnt out and I'm having fun again now. Yeah, I mean, it's been nice because like you'll have ideas, but then like you don't do them because you realize you're going to be coding for like 12 hours to implement a certain feature. But now if you have that idea and you have the ability to prompt, you can have that whole thing prototyped in like 20 minutes, 30 minutes using Claude Code. And I think it's very empowering, enabling people who are like entrepreneurs or very creative who just like want the thing to exist and they know how to like envision it and they don't want to waste the time on the actual like implementation part. Anti-gravity was nice when they had higher opus limits, but Gemini can be lazy. Yeah, I don't use Gemini much anymore. I mean, I use it sometimes for like designing and UI work, but I would not use Gemini for anything else. Does anyone have like a good use case for Gemini? I just don't find it to be a very good model. How do you laser that? What does that mean? Bro, I worked on a legacy project with many conflicting CSS files. Haha, LLMs are useless in that environment. Yeah. Did it fix my issue though? Let's see. Oh, I clicked the wrong button. Still seeing some slowdowns here. Closest reachable tile. All right, I'll do like one more prompt. I wasn't going to stream for too long tonight. It's been an hour and 15 minutes. Also seems like YouTube is down, so like I don't know if people can even like find what's going on here. Build walkable. Do one more 5.3 agent here. I'm still noticing some slowdowns occasionally. I think it's from the workers. This is the flame graph. Can you maybe debug if there's some efficiencies with these functions and try to fix them? I might do a plan mode for this one. Well, yeah, another bottleneck, if you're working on your own project, another bottleneck is like figuring out what to add next. And I think a superpower you'll have in this day of AI is that if you really know what you want built, and you have a really good outlined ERDs with everything that you could need, and you're certain that what those things add in actually add value to the users, you can crank out like an amazing product super fast. But I do think if you're building out something new, for example, building out a game, I don't know what I would want next. I don't know what's fun. So I have to basically prompt, do some prototyping, play around with it for 5 or 10 minutes, realize, oh, I didn't really like that feature. But then I go back to the prompting and I tell it to iterate or change it. So I think if you really have a good understanding, like if you're, I'll keep using this game as an example. If you're a game designer, you know what works already because you've been doing it for 5 or 10 years as a game designer. You could probably build an amazing game extremely fast because you know exactly what will work and what won't work, right? Even these workers running around, at one point I told them not to stack because like, I just felt like it wasn't a good idea. But then like they were getting caught up on each other. They would have to like, walk random directions. And I'm like, okay, let's just remove it. So that's an additional like couple of prompts I had to do to change it from one approach to the next. And so if you already know what you want and you have a good understanding of like what's good in like game design, you could probably build an amazing game. I really like the concept of your automaker project. Nice to be able to list out to-dos and one click turn it into a prompt. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good, I think automaker is still a really good project. I personally didn't want to maintain it anymore. There's people who stepped up and are still maintaining it. And if someone decides to fork it and like roll with it and build something better, like that's cool too. But I will still promote it so that the people working on it can at least feel like they're making a meaningful contribution to a project. There's too many feature requests, too many bug fixes, too many things to support, and I just can't do it. I can't do it. It's just too much. Honestly, I'm trying to not work a day job. I switched back to the Claude Max plan to start iterating on these ideas, and I've been tracking. I'm hoping end of 2026 I am at or near that goal. Yeah, let me know, Trueheads. I think that's the goal for all of us, right? Not have to work a day job. But I think what you'll find out is like, although you can build the thing very fast now, you're gonna have to start pivoting to probably marketing, right? You're gonna build this next iteration of Discord, which is awesome, but now you're gonna be doing a full-time job of trying to market it, or you're gonna have to pair with someone or like do a hire a marketing team to market your app. So I think we're trying to like, developers are trying to build their own things to escape the 9-to-5 grind, but then they're gonna find out that marketing was also 50% of the battle. How do you send a deep task to the front end and have it do it perfectly in front end one shot in decent sized code base? Laser. Oh, okay. Wait, what was your original question? I would say like don't aim for one-shotting stuff. You can try to like have all the perfect context and still you're dealing with an LLM, which is non-deterministic, so it may or may not hone in on certain parts of your context and it might just not implement what you want. I think going for a more iterative approach to solving things, like be okay with 5 or 6 prompts to get it to work. That's kind of the approach I've been taking. I use Claude in a PHP legacy project, and it has been a lifesaver. If you give it enough context to understand the entire project, it actually makes your life easier. Yeah, I mean, these tools are crazy. How can you do the marketing with agents? Yeah, I mean, I hear there's people like setting up Claude, what are they called? OpenClaw, ClaudeBot, whatever it's called, Multibot. There's people setting up that thing. I haven't tried it yet. But you can hook it up with X, you can hook it up with Chrome, you can hook it up with Instagram, you can tell it to just keep on promoting a product. And I think that'll get you a decent amount of the way. Like automating your marketing, I think is probably okay. But I think we're going to reach a point of like everything online is just bots. And then people are going to just disengage with the internet. And so I think instead of just like marketing stuff with bots, I think actually just like having a connection with the viewer is probably the best way to market something. So like an actual like content creator, go and pay them $1,000 to make a video on your product. I bet you it's going to pay off a lot more than you just sitting there and posting spam to X all day. But I don't know. I'm not a marketer, so I just think that there's a lot of weight in having someone like Theo or Primogen vouch for a product or a service versus like a random thing, an ad that you read on Reddit or a random person that you read on Reddit. Dead internet theory finally being realized in real time. Yeah, and it's happening super fast too, because sometimes I'll scroll through X and I'm like, okay, this image was AI generated. I'll scroll that AI video. Okay, I'll scroll again. This post is probably from a bot. It's just like not enjoyable to be online anymore. And I haven't really tuned in with what Primogen's making. I think he was making some like social media platform, like a non-AI social media platform. I think this is actually a good idea. Like having a way to actually verify that the users on the platform are 100% real users. And I don't know what you'd have to do to actually enable that. I think it would be like collecting a bunch of data and like getting screenshots of their IDs or passport and verifying they are an actual person. I think is the only way to make a social media platform that's not filled with bots. But honestly, people aren't going to want to sign up for that. So we're kind of stuck in the situation where like we could have an amazing social media site, 100% verified people, but we all know no one's going to sign up for that. Humans only. Onlyhumans.com. Onlyhumans.com. There you go. I remove all forms of short form content. The things are much nicer that way. I don't watch reels, shorts, TikToks, anything. I block all forms of it with Chrome plugins. Now, I actually do love short form content. Like even AI generated videos. If they're educational, I actually enjoy watching those. Like I just watched a whole hour-long video talking about the medieval times, and they had like cool AI generated videos of, you know, like the town squares and like the old. Obviously, they're not accurate representations, but we don't have videos of the medieval times, and so having like AI generate this cool thing that we could never have like gotten video of, I think it's pretty cool. And it's a really great way to learn new things. So I do think using it for education stuff is great. And I've seen some very funny memes made with AI videos. Like I think there's a ton of potential with making funny videos with AI. I guess I'm more concerned about like you'll watch a video and you can tell it's just like propaganda, or it's like they did a face swap on someone who's like important. And then you like watch it and you're like, wait a second, this was like not real. I think that's the dangerous stuff. Have you guys, I mean, there's like also this really cool guy who does like anime stuff. Like you can generate anime using AI now, and it looks really good. I just can't stomach short form content. It rots your brain. All these AI clips on YouTube. Yeah. I hate the AI voice narration and repetitive scripts they use. There's a difference from AI videos and AI slop. Yeah, exactly. They're going to track the cursor movement and everything to eliminate it all. X is removing all automation. I hope they do. But even that, like, that'll help with the bots. That's one reason I don't like X, is that everyone who replies to you, like I just got flooded on X by like thousands of bots, crypto bots, and I had to like disable my account for like a week. And then I came back and I turned it off, my account on private. It just makes the internet not fun to be on anymore. You go read through Reddit, bunch of bots. You don't know if you're actually reading posts from real people. But what about the water? What does that mean? You like the AI video I sent you and the soda cans, etc. Yeah, you sent me one with the infographic of like the engine. Yeah, it's definitely really cool stuff. I think there's a lot of potential using AI videos for marketing, for doing like cool videos, storytelling. I think there's a ton of potential there. Just also very expensive. Like Super Combo, you mentioned is like what, $50? Was it like $50 to do like 20 videos or something? Yeah, I watched the videos. Yeah, one's like a soda can, or maybe it was like a snapshot of the soda can. No, you sent me an X link, and I clicked on the X link, I think, and I watched through those. But that, yeah, I mean, like, I think in a year, like, they're already indistinguishable from real video, but I think in a year it's like, it's going to be 100% indistinguishable. I'm trying to do a 5-minute space short film at the moment. Yo, that'd be so cool. Yeah, let me know when you finish that. That'd be super cool to watch. Like, I really enjoy. I just watched. Remember that link I sent you? Like, they did a legit 3-minute, like, it looked like an action Transformer film. It was crazy how good it was. What time is it? 8:40. Okay. I got 3 minutes left. I'm gonna end the stream. Yo, that made my FPS even lower. What did it do? Again, this is switched to composer. I don't know why it switched to composer. Yo, this broke my game. It's fine. I don't know, I'll have to debug this. But go to chat real quick. If you want, you can open Discord and look at the 1 minute video I sent you. Was bored at work today. Yeah, give me a second. Let me. Is this safe for a stream? Let me skim through it. I don't know what type of content you're making.
They burned my village. They took my people. Today, I ride alone. But I do not ride without purpose. I am the last of my bloodline, and I will not fall. Almost there. Just a little further now. I have come a long way for this.
Yo, the lip syncing is really good though.
Open your gates!
What model are you using again?
You should not have come here, last king. I did not come to leave. It is done. They called him the last king, but he was only the beginning.
Okay, got some Game of Thrones vibes going. I like it. I like it. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, like, obviously you watch that, you can tell it's AI generated, but I've seen other stuff that. Is this an insurance commercial? How long till free AI seems mostly paid to play now? I don't think it's going to be free, honestly. If anything, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it'd ever be free. It might get a little bit cheaper, but I don't think it'd be free. Gotta be Sea Dance 2. Sea Dance 2. Yeah, it's pretty good. Now, I would be curious, how does it rank up to, like, those other ones, like Vio? It also probably depends on the settings you used, right? Because I've seen some videos are, like, super, super high quality. Not that that video wasn't high quality, but there were some parts of it where you can tell it's, like, very AI generated. And I'm curious if that's just, like, a quality setting you picked to try to save money, or is that just, like, the best that Sea Dance gives out? I haven't had a chance to play around with a bunch of these, like, video models, but some of them are pretty expensive. Like, to do, like, 5 seconds of video, it's like $1 or something. YouTube is down. Cool. Yeah, I've been streaming for an hour and a half. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Thanks for joining in on the stream. Unfortunate that YouTube seems like it's broken today, but I still have at least 63 viewers, if that's even accurate, watching the stream. So yeah, let me download this one too.
Mission log, day 227, all systems nominal. Oxygen recycler holding, 14 more days. Then I go home. Orbital trajectory deviation detected. Gravitational anomaly in Sector 9. That is not right. That is not right at all.
Yeah, I mean, you could even use this like for cutscenes in games. Like, you can tell it's AI generated, and especially the voice. But even using it in like a game, you could do like cutscenes or like storytelling there. I think that'd be very, very valuable. And that's unlocking something that a one-man game dev person could never do before. And so now they can make a game that actually has engaging cutscenes that are like interesting to watch, kind of. But yeah, we'll see. All right, thanks for joining, guys. Appreciate you joining Super Combo Gamer and True Heads. Thanks for joining. But yeah, I'll talk to you guys in Discord.